Have you ever flirted with death? See, I may be a beauty, but excuse me. Have you ever considered the broken condition of my inward heart? I've played these games of silent deceit for so long that it's become an art. Stop looking at me. I used to be afraid of eyes, the lies. I let the devil convince myself, made me put my self-confidence on a shelf, paralyzed by fear just so that you wouldn't hear my story. It's pretty gory. My story, gory. My name is Elizabeth Peprah. I am a Carleton University student. I'm currently finishing my master's degree in Women and Gender Studies, and I am the founder of the Survivors Vote. So the Survivors Vote is a rescue network for female survivors of sexual violence. As a child, I was touched, and mind you, I didn't say much about my story. Slightly gory, my story, gory. It came out of this vision I had of being in this boat. And there were women who were survivors of different types of sexual trauma, whether it be molestation, rape, sexual assault, and they were crippled by the assault, crippled by the trauma. And so I saw myself within a boat, picking up and rescuing these women who've been through things that I've been through. And as they get on the boat, we're all traveling together towards healing, towards restoration, and towards a new chapter within our lives. And this thing that happened when I was young created a cycle that I tried to escape and run from. I really couldn't have fun. My life seemed done. Part 2. I didn't know him, but he touched me. His face I still see. I'm in my teens, innocent, on my way from work, but the jerk, he took a part from me. The summer before grad school, so 2016, I was assaulted. It was on the way home from church, actually. I don't want to go into too much detail, but it was a stranger and I didn't know him. And that assault was so jarring to me because it actually triggered the pain and the trauma that I went through in my childhood from being molested. And I never dealt with that. So as a child, the sexual violence was far from mild, a satanic swirl. She's such a beautiful little girl. I knew equity services existed, but there's such a stigma associated with that. Even walking into that building, I was like, I don't want to call myself a victim. I don't want to be a survivor. I don't want to be labeled or grouped into something like that. A lot of friends, they do kind of blame you, and they do kind of victim blame, as in, some people said things like, did you want it? What were you wearing? Where were you? Were you drunk? It's I don't even drink. So, it's things like that where it's I can't understand. There's just so many stereotypes. So support, to the extent that I wish I had, no. Many hands on me. I just wanted to be free, told none. So at 23, could you blame me for contemplating a gun? And that's why I'm trying to offer survivors a means of support. I'm trying to fill in the gap for what I didn't have, that they would have it. Because support, not really, to be honest. As a child molested, as a teen tested, as a young adult, it was my fault. My mind existed in a bind, and you couldn't see it. How could you? So I began writing poetry to express myself and to work through things. And I even used it as kind of like a prayer, whenever I'd write these things out. It was a holy thing. It was a sacred thing. It was I don't know, I found it so deep and so liberating. And I found that if that helped me, if that was a form of healing to me, I believe that other women and other survivors can experience that healing and that freedom through this art form as well. So I'm also currently working on a book called A Cloud of Witnesses, Poems for Survivors. So basically, there's a group of women who have been where we've been, who have been molested, who've been raped, they've been traumatized, and they're with us, they're with survivors, they're surrounding us, and they're cheering us on. So when you believe that no one has seen your pain, no one experiences what you've experienced, no one understands you, the survivors, the cloud of witnesses are with you. One of my poems called Me Too talks about one of the darkest periods of my life, and it starts off by saying something like, I once considered murdering myself, me too. And it's not that I wrote out a suicide letter and was really going to kill myself, but I felt as if I was dead. So suicide wasn't even an option because I was already dead. I was the walking dead. And you blame me for trying to escape the world and join a convent. And you blame me for defending myself no matter the content. And you blame me for not trusting you, saying I should sue. And you couldn't see it, how could you? And you blame me, but it wasn't me. It was 1 + 3.